All right, I don't know if anyone's online yet, but if they are, we're just going to give another minute or two for folks to join in the room before we get started. Thank you. Um,
Yes, I
all
can
right,
hear you all.
you can hear us. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is that me talking? Okay, great. Sound like me. All right. Well, I think let's go ahead and get started. We don't have a quorum in the room, but Rachel is on her way. So I suggest that we go ahead and get started, and then come back to action items after we have a quorum in the room, if that works for the group to start as a committee of the whole, and then come back once we have a quorum. Okay, excellent. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's start with introductions in the room. I'm Dana Trey with Sonoma County Transportation and Climate Authorities. I'll pass it to you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Jared Hall, Petaluma Transit.
Chris Barney, SCTCA.
Jessica Sandoval, Golden Gate.
Thank you. And then, John, could you read off the names on the Zoom?
Sure. We've got online attendees. We have Adam, Adam Garcia, Camille Sullivan with City of Petaluma, Kathleen Sullivan, no, Chris Cohn, SCTCA, Jacob with Golden Gate, it looks like. And then we have several SCTCA folks online as well. Chris Barney, who's also in the room, Ross Clendon and Steph Britt.
Thank you. I don't see any public, but I will just ask if there's any public comment on items not on the agenda. Okay, great. So I'm going to skip over item. Actually, Rachel's here, so I'll go back. Um, so we just went through introductions and started as a committee of the whole, but we now have a quorum in the room. So we'll switch back to a regular committee. So we do have a quorum in the room. And we will go to item 3, which is approval of the notes from the February 11th meeting.
Motion approval.
Second.
Any opposed? Great, that passes. So moving along to regional funding, we have the draft FY27 coordinated claim for transit funding. And actually, since the agenda went out, have an updated version because we got updated figures from MTC on the LC-top funding. And this version did go out to the LC-top recipients as well. All right, I think everyone in the room has a copy of the updated version, and the LC-top recipients should have a copy of it as well, but it will be posted with the agenda after the meeting. So we are looking for a recommendation to our board on the FY27 coordinated claim. This item will also go to the Transit Paratransit Coordinating Committee next week. And then to our board in April. And with that, I'll first just open up to any questions on the item.
One question, can you talk a bit about the LC top, the difference from the prior version, of what changed with this one?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see, both. There was a refinement in so there's two cycles for LC top, and they are combined in the coordinated claim. And if any LC top recipients need a breakdown of those separated, I think I've heard from most folks that they're doing the same project for both cycle A and cycle B, but if anybody needs a breakdown of them separated out, I'm happy to do that. So they are combined in this draft coordinated claim. MDC both revised the estimate for cycle A and cycle B, so it's fairly minor, but it is an increase in both of those cycles.
And then one comment, we've kind of talked with several of the agencies about this, but about the inter-operator funding element under 3C. The city of Petaluma is currently going through the process of withdrawing from that inter-operator funding. We won't call it an agreement, it was never formalized, but that element. So we're working in the process now of creating a letter to Sonoma County and then SCTCA to notify them and formalize that. But something where we couldn't get that completed prior to the timeline of today's meeting in the packet. But the parties are aware that's in process.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on the coordinated claim?
Jacob has a comment online.
Okay, Jacob, go ahead.
Oops.
Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. This is Jacob with Golden Gate. And I was just gonna, no speeches, but just gonna briefly restate that, we've stated our concerns about the claim in other venues. We won't be raising anything else here today, but we will be abstaining from the vote.
With that, unless there's any other comments or discussion, that open it up for a vote.
I move to approve the draft coordinated claim.
And I'll be abstaining for the reasons I mentioned as well.
So, sorry, my microphone was off. I'm gonna go ahead and do a roll call vote, because we have a mix in the room. Sorry, 1 second.
Dana, before you do that, if
Yeah.
there are people online I need to allow to talk in order to do your roll call vote, I've got Dave Sorrell, Kathleen Sullivan, Camille Sullivan, and Jacob.
I believe we are just voting in the room.
Okay,
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Yeah, I thought you have to be in the room to vote, was my understanding as well.
Yeah, there are some new procedures, but I don't believe we've formally adopted those yet. So I think for this meeting, we're still just taking a vote in the room. Right, I will start with Golden Gate and Santa Rosa
Aye.
and Smart and Sonoma County
Aye.
and Petaluma.
Abstain.
So we have 2 abstentions and 3 ayes. I am going to double check whether our quorum is 3 or 4. So if you guys could bear with me just one moment. And yeah, my confusion is whether Marin Transit is an actual member. I believe not, but I'm just going to double check. Yeah, I believe that Marin Transit's a regular attendee, but not a member that would count toward the quorum. So I'm going to say that this passes, and I've noted the 2 abstentions from the item. Again, there's a reminder that this will be going to the Transit Paratransit Coordinating Committee next Tuesday, the 17th. So, and I believe similarly, the vote will need to be in the room. However, for that committee in particular, the vote is not, we don't take votes from the transit operators. The transit operator votes are only in this committee. But we would appreciate your presence, or your agency representative presence at that meeting. Should any questions come up from other members? March 17th, Tuesday, March 17th at 1:30 p.m. The Transit Paratransit Coordinating Committee. Yeah. All right, moving on to regional planning. We have an update from Chris on the regional transit-oriented communities policy.
Thanks, Dana, and good morning, everyone. So I don't want to give a really in-depth update. Some of you may have been able to catch Dave Otten's update on Monday at our board meeting on the regional transit-oriented communities policy, but just wanted to highlight the main points and provide a place for discussion or questions on that. So just a really high level overview of what the TOC policy is. It's really focused on implementing Plan Bay Area and increasing densities around fixed route transit stops within a half mile. So for us in Sonoma County, that's the smart stations or the proposed smart stations. So this has bounced around a lot since its first inception. So originally it was complying with the policy was a requirement to accessing OBAG 4 or One Bay Area grant funding. So it's since changed into an incentive-based program. So if you're complying with the program, and I'll kind of walk through what that means here in a minute, you'll be eligible for a chunk of incentive funding, which will likely be available in 2027, 28. So that time frame. So MTC took action on this at the end of February. So they've allocated $45 million for the region as incentive funding. As part of that, they also set aside $5 million in North Bay set aside funding, recognizing that we're a little different than the rest of the Bay Area. Our portion of that, which is just over $1 million, is going to be rolled into our One Bay Area grant funding for this next cycle. So it bumps it up a little bit. So talking to eligibility, so this is evaluated at the jurisdiction level for those jurisdictions with TOC areas. So basically everyone along the smart line. So there's a point scoring rubric that's used to determine eligibility. So it covers densities, access to transit stations, housing preservation policies, things like that. So there's a 100-point scale. So to be eligible for that incentive funding, a jurisdiction needs to have an 85 on that 100-point scale. So jurisdictions are at different levels of actually calculating that. And there have been a few changes to the scoring, which has complicated it a little bit. But there's an online score sheet that jurisdictions can use to figure out where they're at. A number of our agencies have also received technical assistance funding from MDC to help get into compliance. So change zoning, identify, or adopt policies that'll help them get those points. So we feel like we're in a pretty good spot here in Sonoma County. MDC's indicated that they're expecting 10 to 15 jurisdictions across the region being eligible for that funding. So the deadline to be eligible has been bumped out to July 1st, 2027. So there's more time to get there. From what we're hearing from the planners, we're expecting 2 to 4 jurisdictions in Sonoma County to be able to hopefully hit that point, which is good news. So digging into some of the changes to the scoring, agencies are able to take credit for SB 779, which is state housing legislation densities as part of their scoring. They've changed some of the housing protection policies around as well. So hopefully there's a little more flexibility. And then just to give a little bit of an idea on what the funding levels will be for complying or eligible jurisdictions. So they've changed from complying to eligible since compliance is not kind of on the table anymore. So they've kind of broken it down by the size of the agency. So the big 3 cities and large agencies are kind of out of the scope of Sonoma County jurisdictions, but we'd be kind of in the medium and small bracket. So if you're a medium jurisdiction, which has 2 or more TOCs or 100,000 or more population, the incentive grant or award would be anywhere between $2 and $4 million. And then for small jurisdictions with at least 1 TOC and smaller populations, it's in the $1 to $2 million range. So still a lot of work ahead. So we're hoping we'll be doing pretty well in this process, but yeah, it could be 2 to 4 million for Santa Rosa and 1 to 2 for other jurisdictions as well. Petaluma has 2 TOCs as well. So that would be in that kind of higher bracket. Runner Park.
Even though our population's lower than what you mentioned?
It's 2 or more TOCs or 100,000 population. So with the 2 TOCs, you'd be in that medium category.
Right.
Yep. So this money would be eligible for anything that OBAG 4 projects could apply for. So capital planning. So anything in that category that you're used to kind of applying for as part of the OBAG 4 process. So yeah, I just wanted to provide an update, get the information out there. Hopefully we'll get a decent amount of incentive funding here in the future for that. So as we hear more, we'll let you know, but there's a little more time for compliance. So I know your colleagues on the planning side are working hard to try and fill out those checklists, do some policy work to try and hit that 85 point range. So, and yeah, we're still trying to get, those numbers aren't set in stone yet, especially with the scoring changes, but hopefully in the next 6 months, we'll have a better idea of where everyone's at. But yeah, happy to take any questions. I encourage you, if you want a little more detail, there's a brief staff report in our board agenda packet, along with the slide deck that Dave presented on. The guidance and MTC materials are also available on the TOC website. So there's a good amount of detail there, but that slide deck kind of has everything along with the process, the future timeline, and those funding levels. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure everyone's aware and give a space for discussion if there's any interest.
So these would be the same funding sources. This would be a carve out from OBAG 4. So it'd be the same funding sources as our plan for the OBAG 4 program. And so do we know what that mix is? I mean, I'm assuming it's heavily federal, but I was just curious. We know at this point.
Yeah, it's a similar bucket there. Since it is federal, that's one reason why there's that $1 million floor for the small jurisdictions to make it worth it.
Totally.
Yeah, hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah.
But I believe that this incentive funding will be direct contracts with MTC, but we'll work that out over the next year. So I believe that's how administratively it's going to be handled. But if that changes or it's different, I'll let you all know as well.
So a couple questions, Chris. You mentioned the two eligible communities in Sonoma County. Is that Santa Rosa, Petaluma?
Oh, who's eligible now or
Yeah.
scoring wise? We don't know yet because the scores aren't down. So anyone that could be eligible is a jurisdiction with a TOC. So anyone along the SMART corridor. So we've been hearing from the planning that most of the jurisdictions along the corridor are at least somewhat well positioned to kind of go after that 85 number. So we're expecting 2 to 4 or 5 jurisdictions kind of hitting that eligible number, hopefully.
Okay.
So, but I check in with your planners to see where they think they're at right now.
Yeah. And then to kind of build on that last thing you said, the question from Rachel. So this won't be funded into like cycle 2, for example, the funding pot. It would be a fully separate type process, you anticipate?
We're expecting it to be an agreement with MTC, the incentive funding. So that may change as they change the administrative details, but we'll keep you posted on how that's going to roll out.
Okay.
But that's our expectation right now.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Chris.
Yep.
All right. I'll just, check if there's any folks online with any questions or comments for Chris. Okay, great. Then we will move on to item number 6, transit integration updates. On the local operator side, I don't have anything to highlight. We've been coordinating around the procurement for the Sync Sonoma Transit Plan. That those proposals are due on March 23rd. And coordinating on some funding items. But I'll open it up to the local bus operators if they have anything to add. Okay. Then let's move on to regional meetings report outs. Rachel?
I could just talk briefly about the Regional Network Management Council. I just pulled up the agenda to make sure I didn't miss anything. We met on February 23rd, and the main action item was approving, as I think everyone's aware now, the release of the regional mapping and wayfinding initial standards and transit stop design guidelines for pilot projects as well as voluntary agency use. So that's now gone on to MTC Commission and been adopted. And I think everyone's aware, but those design guidelines are now available for any of us to use for our own bus stop or wayfinding signage projects, which is really great since it's something I know we're all interested in up here in Sonoma County. And I did make a plug in the discussion about Sonoma County's interest collectively in kind of going above and beyond what's currently scoped for the pilots and hopefully seeking funding to do that. So that was really the main item. So that's it.
Thank you. Any other regional meetings to report on? I called into the FAIR meeting yesterday, FAIR working group. They're renewing the Bay Pass agreement for another year. One change they're making is that they're going to look at reimbursing the agencies by fare type. So there'll be seniors and youth and disabled added. And they didn't spell this out, but I think what that could mean is that the Bay Pass itself could be cheaper for institutions that serve discounted populations, right? So we've run into this as an obstacle. And so I'm hoping that for, say, like SRJC or even affordable housing developments where the residents may qualify for Clipper Start. They didn't mention Start, but anyway, this could be sort of a more sustainable path for getting Bay Pass. Clipper, who has a great Clipper update? So I have not really been following Clipper, but I have recently discovered, maybe a year too late, that there's a new C2 reporting system. Is that right? And I'm wondering if it works for anyone. That's my question, because we haven't been able to get it to give us a report.
Not yet for us. We're working through it. There's a lot of IP firewall issues. We've been going back and forth with our IT. Hopefully have it resolved in the next week or two, but not quite yet.
Yeah, and I'd have to check. I know we've also been working through it. I haven't heard of major obstacles, but that doesn't mean they're not there. So I can find out and reach back out to you and keep you guys. We should all probably stay in communication about that.
I know you can set up auto reports too, which we're planning to do to make life a lot easier once we get it going.
I'll just offer for Marin Transit that I know our staff have pulled reports successfully and have attended all the trainings. So I'm happy to connect you, Emily, or anyone else with the right folks. And maybe there could be a information sharing for people to understand what's working and what's not working. Anyway, just wanted to offer that.
Yeah, that'd be great, Kathleen. If you could connect me with your staff person that does that, that would be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Will do.
At SMART, we've been able to pull reports, but within the data available, there is some concern that we have kind of underreported fares through the Clipper data. So we're continuing to monitor that, but we're seeing month over month changes with C2. Wow. Yeah. And just for my own clarity, so you're all pulling two sets of reports at this point, right? Crystal reporting and the new reporting? And combining those numbers, is that, anyone know?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so.
Thank you, Jared. Okay.
Emily, I have a quick question on the Bay Pass. Bay Pass opportunities for affordable housing. What's the best way for housing folks to kind of tap into that? Is it to work through you as transit providers or with MTC?
No, there's actually a really great website aimed at companies and housing developers that want to sign up for Bay Pass. So they should look directly at that.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But I would say, like, if they run into obstacles, we'd like to know about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know they're still behind on the card migration. Did they mention any timeline for that? Or is that still open-ended? Do you know?
No, it's in those nightly emails that come out. It's sort of, they like list out the individual number of cards they've migrated every single night. Do you see that? Yeah.
Yeah, but they never really give an update on the timeline of percent or completion date, so it's kind of abstract.
I don't know.
I firewalled myself off from Clipper successfully. So somebody sees that, but it's not me.
There is a Clipper staff liaison meeting this Friday, and they do give some update on timeline, and there has been a very strong request that they give us some sense of timeline rather than just daily updates with no timeline. So I am hoping they will tell us something on Friday.
Thank you.
Sorry, going back to Bay Pass, Emily, are the changes that you talked about being looked at for this 1 year extension of the Bay Pass, do you know? Or kind of after that, would the 1 year extension be under the same rules and format that it is currently?
No, it's for the 1 year extension.
Okay.
And I was just looking to see if they attached the PowerPoint to the meeting, but they didn't. If they send it out, I can forward it to you because there were a few changes and I can't remember all of them. But
Okay.
that was the most interesting one to me. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and I understand
Um,
there's also some discussion about a community college specific, some additional funding for community college specific Bay Pass that is further discounted. I have one report out related to the transfer plan working group efforts. There's been some effort to draft project framework post the kind of big implementation effort that was around the big sink. And the impetus of the project framework is really to outline how this work could continue and be evaluated and on what kind of cadence this coordination can happen. One of the products that's being developed is kind of a presentation about what's the future of this work, given so much uncertainty about kind of staffing resources for this. So I think there will be some more discussion on that. The timing is kind of to be determined, but that's where that effort's at currently. Thank you. All right, any other report outs? Okay, let's move on to transit operator updates. Jessica, would you like to start the Golden Gate update?
Okay, for the ridership update on the bridge side, this is for January numbers, we are down 1% from last year, from 2025, so about stable. On the bus side, we are up 10%, and on the ferry side, we're up 5%. And then we were recently awarded a 25.6 million grant from FTA for our transit center project. We're excited.
Congratulations.
Congrats, that's awesome. Is that funding all for the San Rafael Transit Center? Okay.
All right, Santa Rosa.
Just a few updates from us. Ridership last month, I believe, was essentially flat, similar. Actually similar. You said bus was up, so our bus was flat. The 6 Gilligs are on the road. I may have mentioned that last month, but they're doing great, and it's great to have some new buses out there. We have staff going out to the new flyer plant in about a week and a half for the inspection on the new flyers, so those should be delivered starting next month. So that's really exciting as well. And then last week we kicked off essentially our short range transit plan update and the work we're going to be doing to do some retiming in the city bus system around on-time performance, as well as really dig into the smart connectivity opportunities we have with reorienting potentially some of our routes a little bit, or doing some opportunistic interlining and other fixes to better serve the smart stations. So we will keep you all posted on that.
Great, thank you. Smart. In February, our ridership we had 101,935 riders. That was 25% higher than the February ridership in 2025. We have our mascot schedule live on our website. So the April service changes can be seen there. They're behind a button. So there's a little button to toggle to, but that is available. And those schedules will be featuring both ferry and Golden Gate Transit 101 connections. So that's a new addition to that schedule. But lots of transfer opportunities there. And other than that, we have a meeting on March 23rd in the evening as a part of our Healdsburg project. It'll be a community kind of open house format meeting that will be held in Healdsburg, I believe at 5:30. Right?
Is that at the high school or library, you know?
It's at
I can
the,
look it up.
I can give you the exact location. I believe it's at the community center. We had held a meeting there before, but let me just give you the exact location. Yeah, at the community center. It's 1557 Healdsburg Avenue. Thank you. Sonoma County. Okay. We have a couple new BYD electric buses that we've gotten in the past month, and I think one is actually going into service today. Wonderful. I'm not sure about February ridership yet. January was flat, but it did not include any C2 ridership. So I'm curious. I mean, it's probably not a lot, but something. Curious to get that report running. We're getting our new APC system, speaking of counting ridership, installed starting in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So that should improve the quality of our data by April or May. We're kicking off our strategic plan. Currently, we're scheduling some community outreach meetings. It looks like we're going to be doing 4 public meetings in July. And I think that's it. Great, okay, thank you. Petaluma?
Yeah, for Petaluma, so more good news on the electric bus side like others. Our electric buses are now running as well as of this week, so they're out on the road, which means our facility capital improvements were completed a week ago. So all those roads tied together, which is great. Our ridership for February, we were flat on the fixed route side, down 10% on paratransit. Our new website is basically ready to launch. We're just going through some final checks with our IT staff internally. So over upcoming weeks, we'll be ready to launch that. Our 5 electric cutaways, we anticipate receiving those over the next 2 to 3 weeks and then putting those into service shortly thereafter. We've had several discussions, as people may be aware, with our Transit Advisory Committee over our FY27 budget. So we're continuing that at our next meeting on March 17th, and then council on April 6th as part of our overall budget planning process, tied in with kind of our service planning. We updated our paratransit rider guide, so we have a new version of that, more user-friendly, easier to read. And then upcoming meeting in Petaluma, we have an open house regarding Lakeville Highway that we're doing in conjunction with SCTCA, and that'll be on Tuesday, March 24th, 4 to 7 p.m., Miwok Valley Charter School. Unless Camille has any other updates.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, I'll open it up to if there's any updates from folks online.
I'll offer really quickly, just because I usually do when I'm in person. Marin Transit continues to work on our facility. We are bringing a design firm on board to do the next phase of the process. We are working on our farebox clipper transitions. We are definitely stalled out due to the clipper delay on installing the drop fare boxes because we need clipper active, fully implemented before we can remove the GFI fare boxes. So we are taking an item to our board soon about how to deal with cash transfers and holding a public hearing in May. Well, we're going to ask our board in April to hold a public hearing in May about fare changes related to that fare box transition. We are also, one other thing to mention is we did have funds in our big FTA facility grant for workforce and childcare, and we are fleshing out those components of the grant. So we may take an item to our board in the next couple of months about how those plans are unfolding. And we're actually looking to adopt an SRTP in probably around June or July. And then one just fun update is that we opened a new bus stop in the canal, which is our highest ridership area. That's been like 10 years in the making because it's right alongside a Caltrans facility, a freeway. And it was quite onerous to get opened. And the very first day, which was a weekend, it was a Sunday, I think, 25 people used it. So that was heartening. It's heartening when you work on something for so long and then you immediately, even on a low ridership day, get a lot of response from the community. So that's it from me.
Great. Thank you, Kathleen. Any updates from the Amtrak Gold Runner? Okay, hearing none. I'll move on to other business comments or announcements.
Dana, I have a few I can make. So just a heads up that the final Plan Bay Area 2050 plus plan and EIR have been released, so that's out. If you'd like to take a look or just for awareness. Second, public comment on our draft CTP closes on March 23rd, so that's coming up soon. We're hoping to revise the draft based on those comments and bring back a final plan in hopefully May, but potentially June, depending on the amount of comments we received and the changes we need to make. And then finally, one other item, we have an old large format printer or plotter that will be available. It's pretty old if someone would like to adopt that. So just, yeah, reach out to me or Adam if that's something you could potentially use. So just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you. Any other announcements, comments? Great. And we can adjourn. Thank you.